Star Trek 57, M23, take 2.
It's the It's Got Star Trek podcast.
We'll alert the crew to the danger.
If they'd been alerted 24 hours ago, Burroughs might be alive.
We don't fully understand the nature of these manifestations. They could pose other dangers.
I know there's a risk. We're talking one more day. That's all Emery needs.
What he claims he needs.
I believe him.
Because he's a friend of the family?
That's not why I'm doing this.
Why are you doing this?
Quinn's signal is getting weaker, Trip. It's been decaying for the past 15 years. Emery says if we don't do something now, we'll never get him back in one piece. We have a responsibility to help.
What about Emery's responsibility? He lied to get us out here.
I'm aware of that. But we're here. We can't just turn the ship around and leave a man to die. You have your orders. I suggest you get started.
I'm going to click this little button here.
What do you need to do?
Dan keeps coughing.
I'm getting my sillies out.
You're getting your sillies out.
Are we going to do silly willies?
Okay. All right. Here we go.
That was it.
All right. All done? All done with your silly willies?
Totally.
Okay. Good.
Star Trek.
Yes. All right. All right. Clap hands and rub them together a little bit.
It's the God Star Trek.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
How you doing, Dan?
Hi.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, Jesse. He's
Hey,
talking.
Dan.
Did you know, like, some weeks Dan won't talk at first. He has to
know.
play a series of sound effects. He communicates through the sound effects.
But I always say hi.
Yeah, but sometimes you say hi through the sound
Eventually.
effect.
I mean, I think I always at least say something out of my voice first. I don't think
know
I've
that that's
Hawaiian
true.
voice.
I think there are many podcasts where you've just sort of refused to vocalize for a few minutes.
I refuse to vocalize.
You're saying something that sounds plausible, but I don't think it actually did happen.
And I'm not standing behind the statement
Okay.
either. I'm putting it out there. I'm not necessarily going to support it.
I'll
call
sta-
it a thought exercise.
I'll stand behind you. Actually, I'll get on all fours behind you, and then Jesse will push you, and then you'll fall back and trip over me.
Oh, no.
Oh, he'll push me from the front. You confused me. at
Jesse
first.
will push you from the front, and I will be on all fours
So
behind you.
Yeah, you do that old gag where you get on all fours behind me,
Yeah.
and then okay, I got
The
it.
floor
And then,
looks pretty hard.
And
I
then
don't
Jesse
think we
punches
should
you
do
in the
that.
face, and then you
right.
fall over me.
All right.
Oh, my goodness.
Aggressive start to this week's.
This is what should happen to you.
All right, folks. Hey, how's it going? It is the It's Got Star Trek podcast. Sorry.
We're going to be nice.
Tells me you're not here to talk about movie night.
No, Dan, no.
Movie night. What kind
yeah.
of movies do they watch?
All sorts of movies. That's like
Weirdos.
the whole gag on Enterprise. Is they're all like, we watch movies. We have
Watch,
movie
like,
night.
Old
Right.
musicals.
They watch them in the mess hall. Yes. Hello and welcome to the It's Got Star Trek podcast.
Voyager isn't what's his name?
Tom Paris.
He's on to movies.
Yeah,
isn't he?
movies and serials and TV shows.
Son of a bitch.
So this is, I believe, if I'm correct, this is episode
289.
289.
Wow, we're getting close to 300.
We're getting close
What
to
are we going
300.
to do?
Dangerously close.
I have an idea
Oh,
for
whoa.
the 300th episode.
No way.
What is this idea of yours?
Well, I'm not going to say it on the show.
What? Why don't I get to know?
No, I'll tell you guys off the air.
But I want to know
Oh.
now.
Can you tell us during the break?
I'll tell you during the
I
break.
want to know now.
Later.
Now.
I think you will later.
You're just
No.
going to tell
Idea.
everybody.
No.
If he tells you, you're going to tell everybody.
He will. He'll get online and he'll blab it to everyone.
That blabbermouth Dan.
Dan's going to go to the dark web and shout to the high
Blabbing
heavens.
it all over the dark web.
Dan's going to be on the onion net.
Oh, no.
Dan.onion.
Right.
Shouting about our secret episode 300 plans.
I'm going to sell it for Doge. They're going to give me Doge.
That's not funny, dude.
Don't even
That's
fuck
not,
around
I know
with
this
that.
is a comedy podcast.
That's not funny.
At least it's advertised as such. But that's not funny.
That's not cool that I said that.
Bummer.
All right, episode 289.
Gonna
And
get edited out.
in this episode,
Edit it out. Edit it out. I'm gonna get edited out. 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 Edited out, edit it 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 out, doubt. Edit out.
Oh, no.
Wick. Edit out. Wick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait. 1, 2, 3.
Something's
1, 2, 3.
happening.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4, 3. 5, 4. No, stop. 5, 4, 3, 2. No, wait. No, I didn't do it. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Episode we're watching.
Oh, no.
When you watch this type of episode, it causes problems.
Yeah.
Knock twice. 1, 2. Snap
Wasn't a
3
very good
times.
episode.
Snap
Yeah.
3 times. Knock twice.
I'm
Okay.
withholding my opinion of the episode to the end of the podcast.
Thanks.
So I'm not going to tell anyone what I think about this episode. We haven't even said which episode we're doing.
Oh no.
I'm trying to get there. But
It
this
wasn't
episode,
a good one, man.
Why aren't you going to give us your opinion?
Jesse doesn't think it was
I'm-
good.
I mean,
I
you-
am going to give you my opinion.
I mean, you gotta have an opinion.
I do have an opinion. Twere-Eye Marvin in Pulp Fiction. Twere-Eye Marvin.
Twere you.
And this subject came up. I would have an opinion.
Twere you twixt my nethers.
Oh my God.
TNT.
Where were we at? Okay, Star Trek. I know, I'm withholding my opinion, but till the end of the podcast. I can't control.
Why is this a gimmick thing you're doing?
It's
What
not
is
a
this?
gimmick. It's like a
This is
game.
his thing.
It's a game.
It's a gimmick.
It's a game to see if people can figure out through the course of the episode what my opinion is
the episode of the
podcast.
not of Enterprise.
One of
No.
those.
They shouldn't go watch Enterprise and as they're watching it
Well,
decide
to
whether
be
or not
fair,
you like it.
to be fair, one way to gauge my opinion may in fact be to go watch the episode.
Well, that's probably advisable.
It,
So you would at least
it
know
depends
what we
how
were talking
similar
about.
that person's sensibilities are to mine, whether or not we would end up sharing the same opinion. But no, I will provide.
What about
my-
sharing the same ice cream cone? Would you do that?
Ew.
I don't know, ice cream.
Would you use a sugar cone or one of them other cones?
Well, a waffle cone, ideally.
Well, that's not waffle and
Yeah, it's-
sugar.
It's waffle, sugar, and cake.
The cake.
I was
cones
talking
are
about
the-
sugar and cake. I wasn't talking about waffle cones. Something totally different. Because a waffle cone
is a cone?
But waffle cones are big and involve like 3 scoops. But a sugar cone and a cake cone are like 1 scoopers.
I prefer
or they
a
give me
cup.
2 scoops.
I prefer a cup.
That's so lame of you.
No, I mean I like a waffle cone, but like the other
That's
cones,
so
I
lame.
don't like.
Yeah, I'm
what
not.
do I
A,
mean, like,
I'm not an ice cream cone guy.
Like
I like a bowl of ice
I
cream.
like Dan's like we shouldn't kink shame, but then he's like fuck you for not liking a certain type of cone.
You'd rather
He's-
eat it.
he's oohing your-
I'm eating my
he's
ice
yucking
cream.
your yum.
Yeah, he's totally yucking
I'm
my
eating my
yum.
ice cream with a spoon. It's the best way because it's
I
the most
don't-
pure form.
The audience can't see this, but I do not appreciate Dan's pantomiming me.
Oh man,
Me
it was
eating-
cruel.
me eating
It was
ice
a cruel
cream.
pantomime.
It's still going on.
He's gonna do it the whole time.
He may indeed do that. Okay, so
Part of the fun of ice cream is when you dip crunchy things in it.
Okay,
And that's what
that-
cones can do.
That's for real.
I like
yeah.
my ice cream smooth. I don't like it with chunks of things.
Oh
in
my!
it.
Well,
I like
mean,
chunks of things
I
in
like
mine.
chunks and I like smooth, but it's also fun when you dip like a Nilla wafer.
have a
or something.
variety of
If you
textures.
have like Nilla wafers dipped in
Nilla
like
wafers,
with ice
shit.
cream, is good.
That sounds wild, dude.
Yeah.
Do they
okay.
still make Nilla wafers?
They do.
What the fuck, man? Of course they do. Get the fuck
It's
out of
some
here.
old school stuff.
They
man.
sell mini vanilla wafers, but I'm not as much into them. Okay. I
Sorry.
derailed us. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you had some kind of twitchy fit over there. Like, it got all weird.
All right. So, my opinion comes at the end of the episode.
Okay.
For real.
See if you can figure it out in the intervening time.
So this is the beginning of the episode.
this is the beginning of the
Yeah,
episode.
sort of.
We should
still,
begin.
and we still haven't mentioned which episode
It's
we're
like
talking
7 minutes
Daedalus.
about. I know. I'm trying to get to this fucking conversation. We can talk about this stupid episode.
in.
Daedalus.
Oh, I wonder what Patrick's opinion is.
No, that's part of the game. People have to figure out
Okay.
what I think of the episode throughout.
You
the
just said it
course
was stupid.
As we convey our various points and
But
arguments.
you just said it was stupid. Should we cut that part out so people can't? Because now you gave yourself
No.
away.
I mean, maybe I was just joking around. You know, this is a jokey podcast.
He's a silly guy.
You don't know. Who knows?
You never know.
What I'm saying is,
What are you worried about?
episode at the end, or no, opinion at the end of the episode. I do have a second break funemup that I think is going to be
Yeah.
a good time. It's been a little while.
Pounds of fun 'em up.
Little while since we've
Been
had
a little while.
It's
Is
been
that
a
how it
while.
goes? It's been a little while. Is that how it goes? It's been a little while.
That's exactly how it goes, Dan. We'll do that in the second break. But first, we should talk about this episode of Star Trek Enterprise.
Oh yeah.
And that episode happens to be,
Daedalus.
yes, or Daedalus, however that's
Guess you and I will be spending some time
I
together.
guess there could be. You could pronounce it a couple ways.
or Daedalus. Daedalus.
Right.
Jesse broke the flow. You announced the name of the episode twice before Patrick even got to it the first
I was
time.
trying to get to the point.
Jesse does like to keep things moving along, Dan.
How am I supposed to be able to play my sound after the title if I don't know who's going to say it?
Oh no.
Well, I mean, you want to do it again? Should Jesse? Okay, Jesse. How
That's,
about
but you got that's
Jesse? You
that's
say,
your skill, man.
Jesse,
That's
you
what
say
got.
say the title. You say
But
the
like,
title.
when you're like Daedalus, blah, 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 like I don't have time to like.
You say it all, and it sounds like data list.
Yeah, I agree, Jesse. It was interesting. we all are pronouncing this episode name differently.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
pronouncing it
fascinating.
Daedalus.
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 Jesse, you're saying Daedalus.
I'm saying Daedalus.
I
You're
say-
saying Daedalus, and you're saying Daedalus.
Daedalus.
Daedalus. Daedalus. Daedalus.
Bananas. Apples and bananas.
Apples and bananas.
Apples and bananas.
All right.
I'm just saying, if you say the title, you have to say it in such a way that pauses, which allows me to then play my sound.
Okay.
You don't have to do anything, all right? You don't have to do
have to do
anything.
shit,
I'm not the
dude.
boss of anyone. I'm just saying.
You got that right.
If you want to make my life a little easier,
I'd
you can do
like
that.
to.
If you want to make my life more difficult, you can do what you just did.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Daedalus.
Guess you and I will be spending some time together.
Now, I'm just out of curiosity. What is the connection there between the title and that quote, or is it just that quote is a good vibe after the title?
No,
Planning
it's
to
because
use that
we're
quote.
beginning the podcast, and so I guess.
So
Guess you and I will be spending some time together.
That's probably
gotcha.
true. It's a long.
Gotcha.
It's usually a long podcast.
yeah,
Yeah.
too long.
It's like an hour and a half or something.
Something tells me you're not here to talk about movie night.
So settle in, get a snack,
Settle in for Daedalin. Is that called settle us for Daedalus.
have a sip.
Say to us while we watch Daedalus, settle in to watch. Say to us.
Hold on tight.
Say to us while we watch Daedalus, settle us. Wait. Say to us. Say to us while we watch Daedalus.
Didn't this happen last
Oh
week?
my gosh. Say.
I think a similar thing happened.
Say
last
no.
week.
No, it
every
doesn't.
week.
No. Just. Say to us while we watch Daedalus and settle us while we watch Daedalus.
Yeah.
Say to us while we talk about Daedalus and settle us while we watch Daedalus.
What about Daedalus?
Is this one of those?
Fight for us while we talk about Daedalus.
Is this one of those? How do you titillate an ocelot jokes?
Yeah. Sounds.
Okay. Yes. Let's dive in since we've shimmied and shammied and wasted
I
a lot of
admit
time.
it. I've got a few butterflies.
Indeed. Let's start with this very weird teaser. In my view. Wait. Am I the one who calls it teaser and you call it cold open? Because
Yeah.
I keep thinking I'm trying to use
I thought it
your
was the
term.
other way around.
You're doing that thing. Wait, you're doing that thing where you're like, oh, don't say what you want to say. You got to say the thing you don't want to say. But by this time, you've already convinced yourself of what you want to say is the thing that I say.
I'm
He's doing
confused.
that. He's doing that thing that you do where you're like, hey, you say it this way, and you're like, no, you say it this way.
It's like when you're trying to say something different. If you're used to saying things one way and you're trying to say it the other way,
Yes.
and you get in your head, I got to say it the other way, and then you say that to yourself so much that you've got it in your head to say it the other way. But then by the time it comes to say it that way, you're
You
like,
say it the other way.
That you say like, oh wait, I got to remember to say it the way that I
Okay.
don't mean to, and then but you've already meant to say the new way, so now you just go back to the old way.
So you call it a
Precisely.
cold open.
Yes.
I call it a teaser, opening teaser.
Yes.
And I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So in whatever you want to call it, this beginning bit of the show,
Makes everything I fought for worthwhile.
it was fine as an introduction to the story. You get to meet the characters and all that. I just thought it was a weird transition to the credits. Was that the opening?
Well, there were two laughs. There was
Because it was him just laughing, right? And
Yeah,
it
there
just
was-
sort of faded out. There was no music or anything. It was just like this quiet hallway, this old fella laughing, and then it's like it's
Wait,
been a
wait,
long
It
road.
was
Wait.
kind of abrupt because all of a sudden the music was playing, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh fuck, I have to
abrupt.
skip it.
Well, here's another laugh. And I'm trying
There's
to
usually
remember
more
which
warning.
one it was. I'm gonna play the second one. It was that one. Now you could hear it fade
Yeah,
out.
I think it was
Here,
that
wait,
one.
listen. It fades out.
He's a madman.
It's
But you gotta
been
listen.
a
Wait.
long
You got.
run.
I played the sound so you can hear it fade out. You can't talk over it, please.
Yeah.
Please don't talk
No,
over
I
it.
heard it fade out.
But Jesse talked over it before it was over. See, you can hear it fade out.
It's been a long road.
But that's what happened with that DS9 episode last week.
Last
too.
week,
yeah,
yes.
it was all quiet.
Do you remember what that episode was called?
Equilibrium.
Equilibrium. That's right.
Equilibrium.
It also had an odd opening. What?
It had a whine
Cold open. An odd cold open.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
They were serving food,
Yeah.
cooking food,
Yeah.
mixing food.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yes.
listen to that episode.
So,
Skip this one.
yeah, no, the podcast episode is good. That's the problem is like when you have a terrible episode, not a terrible episode, you have a boring ass episode.
You're already twice now. You've given your opinion of this episode.
That's part of the game.
A disappointing episode.
It's part of the game for people to figure out.
All right. Okay.
What does
yeah.
Patrick think about this episode?
I get it.
It's
I
going to
get it.
come at the end
I get it.
of the episode.
I get it.
I want people to be able to
I'm
piece
looking
together
forward to
the.
it.
It's like watching a brilliantly crafted Agatha Christie mystery, where Agatha Christie lays out the clues for you. Ideally, it's not true of every Agatha Christie story. In fact, some Agatha Christie stories are frustratingly reliant on Deus Ex Machina, and that's not a great mystery story in my book. A good mystery, they lay out all the pieces, and you can figure it out. Now. One potential problem with that is if you lay out the pieces too clearly, then everyone figures out what's going on within the first 5 minutes of the episode.
It'll never work.
like
not
what-
now, not 1,000 years from now.
Like what I think happens in this episode, Daedalus.
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 That's that singer.
I remember
the one that's like.
talking about Dido? That's Dido. Daedalus.
Did a picture on the wall. Oh, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. Stan, why are you so mad? That one.
Right. That was.
This guy's trying
That
to
was
get,
a different
us,
song.
get copyright strikes up against us.
Oh man,
Singing too well. You're singing that song too well.
way too well.
Yeah, way too well.
Well,
Sounded
It won't happen again.
No, so this way this story is like structured. It's a weirdly structured story, but it's also I don't know.
Yes.
I remember the first time watching this when it aired, thinking, oh, it's the sun is in the transporter goes. It's like I don't know. I think you can figure that out pretty early, and I think so much of the episode, it loses some of its mystery or charm. As a result of that, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is a gripping mystery, and I'm just like sort of a deductive genius. But I don't think so.
No, not particularly. It's kind of a weak story that's sad and pointlessly sad.
yeah.
It is a little.
Please help me, Jonathan.
Oh my God! Yeah.
And like,
Help me
okay,
save
like
myself.
this
Scared.
guy. Okay, it
Please.
turns out that
No,
this guy and his family
I'm sorry.
is like Archer's like second family.
Yeah.
How come we haven't ever heard of these people before?
Yeah, I agree. I think
The
that's
fourth fucking season.
No,
it,
I'm scared.
not that
I
this is
can't let him go.
a new thing in Star Trek or any TV franchise where they just
Right.
introduce the new character, but it is frequently awkward, and it can be overcome. The sort of sudden brother or sister or close college friend or whatever, it can be overcome with good writing, good acting. You've got good acting here. All the actors are, I think, doing a
They did a good job.
fantastic
So
job.
Danica is supposed to be like Quinn was his childhood friend, and Danica was like I guess Quinn's little sister. And he was talking about pulling her pigtails.
Chase her
but
with a
Archer,
laser beam.
Archer is like way older than Quinn, Danica.
Well,
I
it
think.
seems like it.
Seems
yeah.
like it.
Like
Yeah.
how old is Scott Bakula in this show?
I don't remember.
50.
Yeah, 50 something. I don't know.
Let's see.
'Cause
When
he's still rocking the free world. He still looks pretty good. But
When
he's
was
in his-
Scott
gotta be-
Bakula
Gotta be in
born?
his 70s now, yeah.
1954. So he was almost 50 in this episode. So and she was probably what in her early 30s. Maybe?
Well, that's because this is early 2000s sexual
Seems like
politics, where they're like in the role of the 48-year-old woman will cast like a hot young number.
Well, Quinn didn't look that old either, but I'm wondering if being trapped
Well,
in that
he was
transporter
trapped,
when he
yeah.
was trapped in the transporter, if that
He was 15 years.
Like when you're trapped in that sub quantum transporter thing.
Sub-quantum transporter.
I'm guessing what that means is that it means that you don't age,
or
and
presumably very slowly or something.
so, and I guess, and was he conscious that whole time?
I don't know.
Why was he blowing up
I don't know,
consoles?
man.
Why was he blowing up consoles? Was that just like by
He
accident?
was a son of a bitch, man.
Like why was he fucking shit up? Like
I
was it?
think
was,
you are asking
did he
very
have-
interesting
did he-
questions.
Like, did he not have control of himself? Was he mad?
There are interesting questions
Yeah.
that you have observed that are embedded within the core foundation of this episode, but are not addressed.
yeah.
Not a single one of them is addressed.
But I do remember, actually, you know what? There was a line.
That's incredible.
He melted some
He hasn't
people.
aged today.
He says he hasn't aged a day. So I guess that.
But you
that
know
right
why?
there-
The
The
problem
dude got
is,
melted.
here's a problem with this episode, and it's not even necessarily in every way the fault of the writers. And again, I'm not trying to critique the writers. TV's hard to write.
You're condemning him to death.
It ain't that hard.
The things they show in this episode are obvious in part because even though this is taking place hundreds of years before, say, TNG or whatever, we've seen similar stories for decades on Star Trek, on TOS, TNG, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, the animated series, movies. We've seen transporter accidents. We've seen
Yeah,
people.
only about 50 times.
We've
It's like every other fucking episode.
We've seen people trapped in the transporter buffer, as in Scotty. Scotty was trapped in a transporter buffer for many years. In fact, we see stories after this. On Discovery, on Strange New Worlds in particular, there's a whole story about trapping somebody in a transporter buffer, right? So this is a cliche, and that's not necessarily a problem as long as you're using the cliche as a shortcut to craft around it a really good story. A compelling story. Not this story.
I can't believe I'm hearing this.
Not necessarily this story.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Phlox has a few of the best lines in this.
Flux was like had some kind
episode.
of rash on this episode.
Did he?
His face was all red looking.
Really? I wasn't really paying attention.
I'm losing his vital
Maybe
signs.
he was just heated.
There was some odd lighting in this episode.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
You were diagnosed with an incurable disease. Now it's gone. I'm reading massive cellular
Oh, it's
deterioration.
gone.
Oh, wait, there was two cellular lines. There was this one,
He suffered massive cellular disruption.
and
He
then
got
there was,
melted.
I'm reading massive cellular deterioration.
there were
Hey,
two of
Dan,
them.
that reminds me. Do we have any lists this week?
Not really.
Do we have any that's in orders?
There's no that's in order. There was almost that's in order, but it's not.
Do we have a duty or no duty?
There is a duty or no duty.
There
Oh,
is
yeah.
there is a duty or no duty.
There is a duty or no duty. There was a Archer said at one point.
I think I know where it is too.
But for that's an order, Archer said, "I'm aware of that, but we're here. We can't just turn the ship around and leave a man to die. You have your orders. I suggest you get so that's fine."
Right.
And again, to bring the audience up to speed, Dan and I share this, but Dan has Dan has a bugaboo against people saying that's an order in certain contexts where it's a cliche. Again, we're talking about the correct use of cliches and the incorrect or trite use of cliches.
You have your orders.
Yeah, that was
that was
pushing
the one.
it. Yeah.
But it was okay. It was
Yeah.
fine.
Anyway, it took a long way of saying that this is just a very predictable episode, and the stuff that happens is not interesting.
I had a hard
And
time.
it's a bummer.
I had a problem believing that he was just going to let his son go through the transporter in the first time, before him.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Also agree that's implausible.
Because he was saying I was scared when I went through the first iteration of the transporter myself. I was scared as hell, but I understand why he did it himself. But then considering how scared he was, why would he let his son go? And he kind of half-assed explained it, saying like I wasn't thinking, but there was no real explanation. He was just he just started talking about well, I was trying to outdo myself because I didn't want to be forgotten basically. And Archer even said it's like we're not talking about you, we're talking about why did you let Quinn do that? He's like I wasn't thinking, but it's still like you
You're
weren't
supposed to send a monkey or something.
it's like you obviously you weren't thinking, but like seriously, that doesn't explain why you let him do it.
And
like that's not an answer, you know.
This is a disjointed story in that it's combining multiple different sort of cliched story tropes, and one of those is the aging scientist seeking to recapture youthful intellectual glory, right? That is an interesting story. It's a cliche because it's interesting. It can be made interesting because it happens all the time in real life. And there's the scientist version of it. There might be a sports star version of it. There might be an entertainer version of it. The aging actor trying to regain their fame or whatever. The problem is, again, you can do that if you're saying, I'm using this cliched story as a shortcut to give me time to fill out the rest of the story, the rest of these 43 minutes or whatever, with interesting character stuff, interesting story elements. And I don't know that they did that.
Yeah, we just got some brief passing comments about their childhood and
Little bit,
things
yeah.
here, and we find out suddenly that Emery Erickson was like a father to Archer, like out of nowhere, where they were friends. It's like all this stuff that appeared.
Expositional stuff.
It's all this stuff that appeared this episode, and like
to make us care, but it doesn't.
Yeah, and it's so this is
disappointing.
This is a late season episode, but it doesn't. I don't know.
And the fourth season's great otherwise.
Because like TNG has some real clunkers in the late season, but for some reason this feels clumsy like an early episode or something. And I'm not saying early episodes of Enterprise were clumsy. It feels like an episode that would be clumsy in a way that a new show would be clumsy. You know, it seems like they're making weird decisions that like about like this non-story. You know, and all this like this expositional stuff and nothing sort of intriguing. It just doesn't. It's hard to believe that. Usually, the problem with shows when they go on for too long is they just start getting really weird.
But 4 seasons is not too long.
And 4 seasons is not too long. This didn't get really weird. This was just kind of dull.
How about this though? What do you think of this?
Because like okay, the TNG late season one. A perfect example is the fucking spider evolution episode.
Oh, yeah.
That was not a good episode, but it was fucking weird.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like okay, it wasn't very good, but it was fucking weird, you know, and which is what happens to shows.
Did we do that one?
No, we haven't done that one.
We've just mentioned it.
There's a term, it's called like the Flanderization, I think, of characters when like a character starts one, and it's a reference to the character Flanders on Simpsons.
Ned
it's like,
Flanders?
Yeah, and it starts like
nothing at all.
It's where a character starts.
Oakley dokley.
It's where a character starts. Jesus, Jesse. You're really like coming out of the gate today. Like
both of you, you're saying Jesse's coming out of the gate. You jabbered out about some crazy nonsense.
You had like a stroke earlier.
I know I did. You're right, but I'm just saying like, and that's fine. I'm not saying being silly is bad. Obviously, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
silly
like,
humor.
It's like we're getting into that.
You're trying to say something.
Exactly. This is what I'm just. Oh my god, that's what I meant. Is we're getting into that zone of everyone's talking on top of each other, and no one's letting each other finish their sentences. Okay, so what I'm trying to say, the Flanderization of a character, where you have a character like Ned Flanders who begins, and Homer did this too, where the character begins with certain quirks, but they're mostly basically pretty normal except for a few exaggerations. But then over the course of many seasons, each one of those exaggerations gets sort of focused on, it gets min-maxed, where they minimize like the less noticeable characteristics and they maximize the very specific idiosyncrasies of the characters. So by the 7th season, like it's all wacky and crazy.
Right.
Right.
It happens. A lot of Simpsons characters are like that.
Yeah. And Simpsons happened a lot like that. Yeah. And so basically, TNG by the later seasons, it was, and I'm sort of relating it to this idea of why a show might get weirder over time, because it just finds different sort of characteristics of that show and it makes them weird. TNG, even though that spider episode wasn't good, it was fucking weird. This episode, this wasn't that good, but it wasn't even that weird. It was just dull, which is why it just seems like an early first season episode of TNG that wasn't very good.
And that's why I have a question for you. If you think it may have been, at least in part, a function of this being one of the odd birds out, if that's a phrase, for the 4th season, because one of the innovations that I believe it was Manny Koto introduced in the 4th season was to do a series of mini arcs, most of them being 3 episodes, but there were a couple of 2-episode arcs.
Right, because they were doing all those
all throughout
serialized episodes.
Yeah, so it was sort of not as serialized as DS9 or that the later Discovery and Picard would be, but little mini movements, and this is a standalone episode among that, and there are a few standalone episodes.
But there's some stuff with T'Pol that is actually more interesting, but they don't really do
it's
a
the
lot
previous
of that.
episodes, because there's like the whole she references it in this episode, the whole Shikara stuff, which was where Captain Archer, the white guy, helps a different culture. This is a classic Star Trek episode.
Shit.
The human white male helps another culture rediscover itself.
Oh man,
I'm getting involved.
I'm exaggerating a little there for comedic effect, of course.
No,
but that's a good arc. That's a really good arc. And then this episode is sort of some blah, boring nonsense.
She had the Kashar. We was reading Kashar because she had some sickness. What was the sickness called? It was called like the Pashuti.
Yes, it was called Pashuti.
The Pastrudel or something.
Yes,
Colinar.
Was it Colinar?
Colonoscopy.
Was she?
No. The brief
So
summary.
she was reading the Kirshara,
Yeah.
Kirshara,
So,
the Virginer.
Oh no.
The very brief summary of previous stuff that's relevant
It
here
was,
is the whole dealing with Vulcans in this time period.
Pinar. She had Pinar.
They don't mind meld because they think it's some gross thing, and it's sort of a clumsy analogy towards sort of alternate non-heteronormative sexual orientations. So there's this whole thing about the mind melding, and then they find the Shikara, where it turns out
Kirshara?
the Shikara.
Kirshara.
The Shakira, and it turns out they've been reading their books wrong or whatever, and that Surak wanted to say one thing, but then he was like misinterpreted. Long story short, it turns out that like you can like sort out this disease that people get from mind melding if you're not like all like fucked up and weird in your society about it.
Where do Vulcans go up to eat when
This is a joke.
Where
right?
do Vulcans go to eat when they're sick?
They go to the Plomeek soup.
You know, Jesse?
The Plomeek soup place. It's like a ramen joint.
Panara.
Yes, they do. That's exactly where they go.
Okay. On
Good
that
job.
note, we do have to take a break.
Wait,
when we come back, we got to take a break.
I know, but like you were talking about Pinar from before. T'Pol has in past episodes has had.
She had Pinar.
They talked about this before.
Yes, exactly.
I've had
This was
Pinar.
It was
referencing some-
resolved in the previous episode.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Sometimes the sandwiches are all right.
Yeah. What are you talking at the Pinar?
Panara.
Do they have a
at
Cuban
Panara?
at Pinar
Panara?
bread?
There's some kind of
Panara bread?
Cuban.
Cuban.
At Panara.
Wasn't
like
the
a
Cuban sandwich invented in Tampa Bay, Florida?
Probably.
Sure.
I believe it's
Why not?
a Tampa Bay, Florida delicacy.
Wasn't the pizza invented in like Oklahoma City or something?
No, the pizza was invented in Antarctica.
Oh, Antarctica. Okay.
All right, we
By
will.
them and penguin people.
we will be right back.
Mountains of man.
You gotta take a break eventually.
And we're back.
You have your orders. I suggest you get started.
Damn, dude.
That's a good one.
I know, right?
There's a tremendous number of
Archer was disappointing. in
lots
this
of
episode.
lots of apt sound clips, Dan.
All right.
And I agree with you, Jesse.
I know.
Archer was
it was
disappointing.
hypocritical of me earlier to say that you were coming out of the gate, Jesse, because I definitely came out of the gate myself.
Oh,
I
no.
think
It was all in good
I
fun.
think
I like how you keep saying came out of the gate, not like came out of the gate hot or came out of the gate fast. You're just saying like I exited the gate.
Got in his grill.
Well, the rest of it is implied.
Is it?
I think I was just getting a little stressed because we were all getting like all amped up at the same time, and it was like stressing me
it's
out.
freaking him
I'm
out.
relaxed,
Yeah.
buddy. I'm chill.
Okay, well, I can't
chilling.
I can't handle these things as well as you all can.
I'm lounging.
Sweating.
So I was gonna. This episode is about loss in general because like it talks about how T'Pol lost her mom, and then Emery lost his son, and then of course Trip Tucker III sort of links them both together because who did he lose? His wife was it or something?
He lost his girl, his sister,
His sister.
Sister,
and
Okay.
he's also losing T'Pol as a gal pal.
Yeah. So like at one point
And losing his respect for Emery.
So at one
Emery
point,
Erickson.
Emery is talking about like I lost my son, and then Trip's like, well, I lost this, blah blah blah, and then at one point, T'Pol's like lost her mom, and then Trip's like, I know what you're going through. I lost this. Here's a problem. I don't think it's a great idea to go up to someone who had a family member die and say, I know what you're going through.
No, it's
Right.
literally the opposite you're supposed to say.
And like even if you had like even if like their sister died and your sister died, you still don't know what they're going through.
different people.
Everyone has,
Especially if they're Vulcan.
and everyone has.
What if your sister was a bitch?
See what
Vulcan bitch.
I just talked about. What I was just
Okay,
talking
I
about.
apologize.
Okay,
You're right.
just making a
It's an
point.
awful thing to say.
No, I'm just making a point
I,
here.
no, I understand, and the problem is, and Jesse, I'm sure, is in the same situation.
I was just talking about this. Like
that
a
there's
minute
this
ago.
compulsion to be like, oh, we think it'll be funny. It's even,
Yeah, but-
even if it's not
But
necessarily
it's
funny.
not even a taste thing I'm talking about. I'm just talking about like just trying to get this thought out.
No,
Point
I
of
get
order.
it. I get
trying
it.
to get this thought out.
I feel bad because I use the word bitch. I don't like using the word bitch.
It's actually
Yeah,
not
only
cool.
about 50 times.
I said it a few times
Yeah.
earlier.
I mean,
It won't happen again.
we are old.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Sometimes.
sometimes comedy,
Can't.
comedy just jumps out. Jumps out in front.
I never encountered anything like this.
Jumps out in front of the truck. Okay, so,
So-
you were saying, Dan,
so I was saying that.
loss.
So yeah. So to Paul was you shouldn't go up to someone even if they lost like the same family member as you did. You shouldn't go up to someone and say you know what they're going through, because even though something you went through may be very similar, loss is very personal to each person. And I feel like when you tell someone you know what they're going through, you're almost robbing them a little bit of their grief in a way, because it's
You're trying to tell them how to be.
it's their grief is personal, and so like you don't want to come up and try to like co-opt their grief by saying like I know what you're going. Now there's difference. You can go up to someone and say like I lost someone close to me that it made me feel this way, and you can try to relate on that,
Or maybe
level.
say, how can I help?
Or how can I help? And I'm not saying that you can't go up to someone and be like, I lost someone close to you, close to me as well. It kind of sucks. Like you can say that, but it matters the word you use. You don't say like, I know what you're going through. You say something like, and I'm not educated. This is just my thoughts on it. I think other people.
This
some other
segment
people
is
agree.
called Dan's Thoughts.
Your thoughts sound reasonable.
And so,
Dan's Thoughts, and in this case, Dan's Thoughts on grief.
and then I'm just saying that the wording is important, and it's okay to go up to someone and try to relate to them by saying like I went through this, but just to say I know what you're going through. And it's all very pedantic, I know, but
And
like
no, I agree with you. And he's being persistent too. That's the
Yeah.
annoying thing. Is sort of like not getting the hint.
right, right, because he even goes up to he's like I don't know what you're going through, or no, he says
I don't get you, Paul.
like because she wants
I don't get it.
because she wants to grieve and spend some alone time, and he's like hassling her that she wants to like.
Where would I stay?
It's like okay, you lost your sister. I'm sure you grieve too. I felt like he wasn't being very empathetic towards her because he kept like getting frustrated with her because she wanted to spend some time alone.
Well, Tripp has the classic male issue, and it's not only, of course, it's not exclusive to males, but it is certainly in media stereotypical in males. Issue of being the fixer. He wants to be the fixer.
Yeah.
And in Tripp's case,
He's got to fix it.
it's quite literal because he's an engineer. His character is all about wanting to fix things, and that includes people. And there's been other examples of Tripp getting obsessed with fixing a chair, like fixing a captain's chair or whatever, you know.
Well, you're gonna need more juice than I thought.
And I think in this case, this is his gal pal. He's into Paul. He likes her.
What's that supposed to mean?
He likes her branded pajamas and how she wears them.
How the hell do you know?
And the problem is he sees her in pain and he wants to help her. And this is in many ways that classic sitcom trope of the guy not understanding and maybe having to learn through the course of the episode the right way to approach somebody who you care about, who you'd like to help. But the lesson is that you may not be in a position to help them. And that's just the deal. Okay.
I can't believe I'm hearing this.
Well, I mean, they try that arc, but they don't really have that arc in this episode because they don't actually do the things that are necessary throughout the court. They set up the plot.
It's just a little
But they don't do the
tease,
things. They don't do the things in the plot that you have to do in order to make the arc happen. They just declare that it happened.
And with Emery, like, okay, having not been a father myself, I can't relate, but I have heard that the relationship that a parent has to a child is different than like, I mean, every relationship you have is different, but I don't think like when Emery's like, you'll understand when you have a son, he's like, I lost someone. And it's not the same thing, really. Not to say
it's
that.
it's different.
It's a different thing. Like, it's not to say that one is better or worse. It's just a totally like. I mean, obviously, what Emery did was bullshit. Like, what Emery did, putting everyone at risk like that was bullshit. And how casual he was about the whole thing.
All you gotta say is people get more pissed off at you if you murder your children than your siblings.
Yeah, there you
Right?
go.
Like, it's not cool to murder either.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, if you murder your sibling, people,
It's more traditional.
We've already lost one man.
That's what they used to do in the olden days.
Yeah, but if you murder your kids, people are like, that doesn't.
No.
Yeah, if you
It's
murdered,
crazy.
Not cool.
in the old days, if you murdered a sibling, you just had ambition. That's what that meant.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Or if
You had
were-
to get rid of your competition.
Maybe
Yeah,
you're in
right.
the mirror universe, for example.
Interesting.
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 All right. So that was some fun talk on grief, loss, and other miscellanea.
It's an honor.
Are you ready for the second break, Funemup?
No.
All right. All right. So,
No.
all right.
No.
I'm ready.
All right. Jesse's ready. Dan is still.
Dan is
No.
Dan
sowing the
seems-
seeds of doubt.
Dan
Please
seems-
help me, John. I'm scared. Help me save myself. No. I can't let him go. I can't. I'm sorry.
Do you have any yeses in there?
No. No. Yes.
Ah.
Yeah, only about 50 times.
Okay. All right. Second break, funemup. Let's give this a try.
Enhance.
I have no idea if this will work or not. It's something I saw online that I thought was kind of cute and charming, and we'll see if it works.
Well, we're cute and charming.
You are indeed, so I think we can make it work
No.
regardless. So here's what we're going to do.
I'm not talking about you.
I don't know what
talking
this
about Quinn.
Not jokingly.
I'm not joking, Lee.
I don't know what this is officially called, the wiki game, Wikipedia game, or something like that, but both of you got to...
It's called Wikigamia.
Open up Wikipedia.
Yes.
All right, you got Wikipedia open.
You call it Wikipedia.
Now I need each of you to pick a
Wikipedia.
topic. It can be any topic you want.
Can it be Wikipedia?
Any topic, but just something you can search on Wikipedia.
Is there a Wikipedia?
I want you to get yourself to a landing page and then tell us what it's the landing page for. Any topic. Could be
I had no choice.
science, history, math.
A general topic.
Any topic. It does not matter whether you just need to get to a landing page to start.
Okay, I'm on one.
All right, Jesse.
Getting there.
All right, Dan.
We're almost ready for
while
our
he's
first
looking,
test.
why don't you tell us what landing page are you on?
Dog food.
Dog. Okay. So you're on the Wikipedia page for dog food.
Yep.
All right, Jesse. How about you?
But I won.
Interstate 5 in Washington.
Okay, Interstate
And you know
5
I
is
understand
The
how you
state of
feel.
Washington.
in the state. So there's actually a Wikipedia page specifically.
What does this
for
have to do with Star Trek?
Well, I'm getting there, but
You
I'm
better,
not.
you better
Jesse's,
fucking wait and see.
Jesse's intrigued me now. Is there?
see no point in discussing
Is the
it. It's
Wikipedia
in the
page
past.
for the full I-5 up and down the West Coast, or is it only in? Is there a page for just the Washington segment?
This just deals with the Washington segment.
Okay, that impresses me. All right, so now here's the game. The game
It'll never work.
The
Not
game.
now. Not 1,000 years from now.
The game is you're starting on this landing page, and you have to now, using only Wikipedia, only clicking links in Wikipedia, you need to get to the Wikipedia page for this episode, Daedalus. The Daedalus, the Wikipedia page specifically to the Daedalus Star Trek Enterprise episode.
I'm scared.
In as few clicks as possible.
Is this like a fun game to play on a podcast?
We're
though?
about to find out, Dan.
Oh no!
How is this at all exciting for
Hey,
listeners?
If it's, we'll find out. They'll let us know.
I'm about to lose it.
At feedback at
Oh my
itsgotstartrek.com.
God. This is going to take forever.
Well, then we'll quit and we'll say it didn't work, and then that'll be hilarious in and of itself. I guarantee it.
It'll never work.
I'm like that
Not
guy who
now,
sells suits.
Not 1,000 years from now.
But I want
guarantee.
you to be optimistic here and
like some
see
kinda-
if you can figure out
I clicked
how.
on meat and bone meal.
Okay, clicked on meat and bone meal.
Were you just afraid that we would have that little to talk about regarding this episode that you felt like we should play this random ass game
No,
that has
I-
nothing to do with the episode?
Perhaps subconsciously, but this has to do with the episode because we got to see how long it can.
Microscopy.
Jesse, are you clicking on? Trying to figure out what to click on?
I'm a
Micrometers.
little stumped right now. I'm trying to think it out.
Micrometers. American English.
Yeah, this is totally not going to work. That's great.
Um.
I would honestly be flabbergasted if somebody can do it, but
Oh God. Now I'm in American English. I think I backed myself. This is so boring.
I'm entertained.
I don't think people listening are very. Accent continuum.
Oh, okay, accent continuum. What does that mean?
It's a dialect continuum or dialect changes a series of language varieties. It took me to dialect continuum.
Oh, you got to try to get to Star Trek somehow.
Well, I saw continuum. I was hoping I could just look up the word continuum, but
That's a
now,
good call.
but
Jesse, you find anything to click on? No. Jesse's still looking through the. Are you still looking through the original webpage for Interstate 5
Yeah.
in Washington
well, you got to
State?
start just clicking, man.
Start clicking, buddy.
Well,
I don't know why we're playing
I'm trying
this
to
game.
strategize.
You're thinking too much, dude.
That's what I always do.
Yeah, no, I did not.
Okay,
expect
now
this to work,
I'll
but-
click on the Quran.
All right, the Quran.
Okay.
Is there any reference to Star Trek on the
From the
Wikipedia
Quran.
page?
I don't think I'm getting any closer. Exegesis. Exegesis.
Exegesis,
Exegesis, I think. Exegesis.
yeah.
Literature. Literature.
All right, go to literature.
Someone on number 8. Written work, digital writing, novels, plays, poems.
TV
oral-
shows? Do they have TV shows?
Well, there's entertainment. 9.
Click on entertainment.
9. There is storytelling, music, dance, performance, interest, audience, pleasure,
I think you're getting closer, Dan.
psychology, philosophy. There's nothing about TV and games, Television show,
there you
10.
go.
I'm on number 10.
All right.
Television show.
See if you can find something that's like a list of the top 100 television shows.
Television
of the
show history.
20th century.
Formats, development, principal photography, North American usage, Egypt. See also lists of television programs. Is that's in list? See also. Is that am I allowed to click
Yeah,
on
anything
that?
you can click on.
So number list of television shows. S. So I'm on 11. I'm clicking S. This is.
Oh, look at that. Jesse is still on the first page.
Now I guess S counts as a 12th click, even though I was
I'm
on
gonna
the.
see where this goes.
I took
Yeah,
from
any click should count as a click.
okay 12th. So S 12.
Is that a bookmark jumping in the same page?
No, it links to its own.
There you go.
List of
That's a separate click. Then.
Even though it's still part of list of television shows, it's now on list of television shows _ S.
All right.
So it's I guess technically. So that's 12 clicks.
Okay.
And then here we are. I'm almost there. I can feel it.
I like how Dan's getting excited now.
Well, because we have our choice. Which Star Trek? We're trying to get to Enterprise.
yeah, because you want to get to the Daedalus
13. On 13, I'm at Star Trek Enterprise.
episode. Okay, now you have to find season 4.
Oh boy.
This is great. My mind is blown that you actually got
Season
there.
14
Yeah.
takes me to another page, so that's 14. And then Daedalus is episode don't tell me.
I'm not telling you.
Don't tell me.
Well, why do you keep saying don't tell me?
Because you're going to tell me.
Tell
Episode
me.
10, 15 clicks. I got to, from Dog Food, I got to Star Trek Enterprise Daedalus in 15
in
clicks.
15
Wow.
clicks. That's pretty
How
good.
about that?
All right, audience.
Right on, dude.
Here's what we want you to do is try this out at home and see if you can beat Dan's score of 15 clicks, starting from a topic of your choice and getting to Daedalus. Now, of course, you know you're getting to Daedalus, so you might pick a topic that gets you closer there. So you can even cheat and then write us in at feedback@isgotstartrek.com with the subject line, I'm a dirty
I
cheater.
cheated.
Yeah, I cheated. So Dan got it in 15 clicks.
Takes everything I
I have
fought
yet to
for
figure that
worthwhile.
out.
Jesse's disqualified because he started just reading the Wikipedia page because he was too thoroughly interested in the history and or engineering of the I-5, specifically the segment that travels through
And so-
Washington State.
And so people at home have to do what now? See if they can beat it in 15.
They have to play this game and
Feedback.
see if they can beat it in 15. Yeah, because they could follow your.
That happening again. Extremely small. No one's going to die. Any moment now.
No one's going to die.
All right, I see what you were doing there. Okay,
Wow, I can't believe that only took like a few minutes.
that was fun, and it was made more fun.
I don't know if it was fun.
No,
I had fun.
I think it was fun, and I think it was made more fun by the gradual transition from you being pissed off,
Calm down.
pissed off at being cornered on air and forced into this bullshit,
All of this before.
to the visible vibrating joy as you neared in on your target. You were wiggling in your seat. You're like, I'm gonna do it.
He was wriggling. Wriggling. In his...
I'm gonna do it in 15 fucking clicks.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Back to the discussion of the very boring episode. Don't forget, folks, try to guess my opinion of the episode. I'll reveal it at the end.
Someone else
the
could die
podcast.
before then.
It's possible.
Nobody's gonna die.
Our podcasts aren't that long, but it is feasible that between now and
It's statistics.
and the end,
Don't let it touch you.
not everyone listening may make it. All right. To get us back into the discussion
not
of the
make it.
episode,
You have your orders.
we touched a little bit on this about how this is another one of those episodes where they have bits and pieces that
Don't let it touch you.
could be super interesting that they just don't bother with. And
Yeah.
another aspect is how when Emery Erickson comes on board, he's all talking about the old days with transporters. He's like, you wouldn't believe it. There were all these protests and people were saying like,
Oh, right.
this and that, the other thing. And like, are you even the same person? And and those are all very interesting philosophical arguments.
That was interesting.
But he just dismisses
Right,
it.
he's
It's
like,
like, don't worry
it's
about it.
bullshit.
Don't worry about it. Now, I get it. It's in character for somebody in his position to sort of have that idea, that
he goes-
perspective,
he
but
goes-
still.
I had to fight all of that nonsense.
Yeah, he goes because the what he was talking about was the I'm looking for the line. It was something about metaphysical. Okay, he goes people.
This is way more entertaining than you on Wikipedia.
He said people said it was unsafe, that it caused brain cancer, psychosis, and even sleep disorders. Starting to get interesting. And then there was all that metaphysical chatter about whether or not the person who arrived after the transport was the same person who left and not some weird copy, which is interesting because people have talked about that before. And that, like you just said, like that is an interesting idea. But yeah, they never. That was one of the few parts of the episode I liked, just because they brought it up, but they never explored it.
They never explored it. And again, yeah, I know that's not the story they're telling, but it kind of is, because there's a guy trapped in the transporter, right? So what? You know, it's like, come on.
I also like the part where Phlox said at the end, he goes to Paul, he says, it's clearly had an impact on you. You seem more certain of yourself. She's like, I've never felt less certain. And when he says you're re-examining your core beliefs, something most people never do. I like that idea because he's kind of saying like, I don't care what your beliefs are. Yeah. It doesn't matter, but you have your beliefs and you're re-examining your beliefs to come to a new set of beliefs. And it almost doesn't matter. As long as you're not an asshole, your beliefs don't matter so much. For what the message that I'm trying to convey is just the fact that you're examining it and coming to new beliefs. That's the important part. The important part is not so much the specifics of those beliefs, unless those beliefs make you an asshole, obviously. If those beliefs make you an asshole, then yeah, it matters. Do
you have any examples of such beliefs, Dan?
I think we can all think of a few. We can think of a few.
You don't want to get it out on MP3 format?
You can download the audio on MP3 and tell the whole world how you gave Eminem VD. But I like the idea of just this sort of objective stance of saying, like, look at your beliefs, you're re-examining them, and just that alone is a good thing. I thought this stuff with T'Pol was actually kind of interesting in this episode.
And it was the smallest portion of it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because there was the main story, I guess, with Erickson and Archer, and to a certain extent Trip. But then Trip had his story of haranguing all these grieving people.
I know, like, yeah, he's like, okay,
which was a higher in the hierarchy of this episode. That story had more prominence than T'Pol's very interesting story about re-examining her cultural and philosophical foundation.
So Emery was being a total asshole about like fucking everyone up like that, but but then Trip being like, I know what it's like to lose someone. You blah blah blah. You're such, and then he harassed Emery and he harassed T'Pol about like wanting to spend some time by herself. He's like, but I want to watch a movie with you. That's not how he talks. He goes, T'Pol. He goes,
I don't get you, T'Pol. I don't get it. I don't get it. You don't get it. I don't get it. Where would I stay?
And Where Would I Stay is from episode 2 of season 4.
Where
Home.
would I stay?
Yikes.
What was that from?
Yikes.
Is that from fucking Section 31?
Yeah.
It's just a crazy idea.
Man, what a ridiculous movie that Section 31.
Holy shit.
We didn't have any opening stuff today, did we?
What opening stuff?
Like
News 'em ups.
Front matter.
No, we got right into a discussion of the episode. Don't you remember?
I do.
We made it count.
We didn't waste 10 minutes freaking out on air. we didn't do anything.
How the hell do you know? What do you want me to say?
Folks, if you haven't heard our podcast episode discussing Section 31, you ought to. It's fun. The Section 31, maybe not so great, but the podcast was fun.
Yeah.
And Dan has like a legitimate freak out on that episode.
on that one, did I?
Yes.
Oh, I don't even remember.
Among others.
I must have blacked out.
Well, it was one of those things where we get to break and Jesse and I are like, are you all right? He's like, calm down a little bit. No, it was a fun time.
I did kind of freak out because the whole thing was nonsense. The whole movie was nothing made sense.
It was like you were saying there was so much to discuss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, there was.
You should let people at home listen to that one.
Right. There was some moments where Emery was not reliable, and people questioned his reliability, like he might be a liar.
Is this this is not a list? Though.
This is a mini list. It's like a 4 point.
You told us you didn't have a list.
Yeah, I know.
4 is a list.
I wish I had an explanation for
This is
you.
a genuine pants on
Jesse,
fire
this
moment.
guy is getting a little wishy-washy with his list criteria.
So this isn't really a list.
Last,
this is one of those lists without the numbers.
Yeah,
You never said anything like this would happen.
This is an unnumbered list.
Remember last week when Dan was all like talking about he was like, I accidentally made a list. It's not a real list, but then it became a list.
It's an accidental list that turned into a list.
Don't get mad at me because the numbers are weird because it's not a real list.
The numbers. Yeah.
I made a decision. It's the right decision.
And again this week, he says he has a kind of list, a fake list, but it's not a list.
Mm-hmm. I wish I had an explanation for you. I perpetrated a fraud.
I wish you did too.
All right.
So there's a 4 point list.
Okay, a 4 point surprise list.
Unreliable Emery. Unreliable Emery. Okay, first we'll just start with the main lie. The first lie in the first place was him like telling everyone he had this new kind of newfangled sub-quantum transporter that could travel zillions of billions of years, light years away. And that was a big fat lie, okay?
Yeah, because apparently it had a foundational problem that they didn't explain.
Yeah, right. It was
He just told us, he's like, oh yeah, it's all fucked up and weird.
Yeah,
Don't worry
it'll
about it.
never work, right.
It's total bullshit.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, supposedly the quantum.
Okay, Jesse, he did it again.
Did what?
Okay.
Supposedly?
All right, so here's the deal. I remember because this confused me last week. It was a gaslighting situation.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And then I'm editing the podcast. I'm like, this guy, he's saying supposedly on purpose to trick us. There's some.
What am I not
behind
saying
it.
correctly here?
All right, you continue. Supposedly.
That's what I said.
Okay.
So supposedly the subquantum transporter doesn't work, right? But Trip Tucker noted that they were able to transport. They remember when they
Charles Trip Tucker III?
Remember when they supposedly transported the thing, right?
Not John Carpenter's the thing. What are you talking about? Are you talking about the little satellite doohickey?
Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, you don't have your recorder. You're not doing your sidecast this week.
Patrick's such an asshole.
All right, no sidecast this week. Okay, which thing are you talking about? Are you talking about the little satellite doohickey?
I'm explaining.
Okay,
it, Patrick.
all right. I'll return.
Did
to
you
my
really
corner.
think I was referring to John Carpenter's The Thing? Did you really think
You said
that?
The Thing.
No, of course I didn't think.
Then why did you say it?
that. Because it was so funny. It was like the funniest thing ever. Okay. I've retreated.
Not true.
I've retreated to my little spider nest in the corner. Please continue.
You got spiders over there?
Supposedly.
Supposedly, there's spiders.
So when they were testing out the subquantum transporter, what was going to be that, but it wasn't actually that, they Trip Tucker goes, wow, we transported at 40,000 kilometers. That's the farthest yet, right? So that thing didn't work, though. So did they actually transport something the farthest they've ever transported, or did Emery fuck with the data? No. How could he fuck with the data in front of all of them?
No, I think he did transport at 40,000 kilometers.
He just had a really good version.
No, here's the thing. I agree with you.
It was a probe or something.
This is not well written. This is part of this total disjointedness of this episode. And by the way, some of it's the writing, but some of it might be the editing. There's some scenes just don't flow into each other.
Maybe
well.
they edited it out. Did they edit it out?
Something got edited out.
But in this case, the only way I interpret this, and I'm perfectly comfortable interpreting it this way, is that
well, I'm glad you're comfortable.
It's that it's not that he can't beam things super long distances. It's that it's not consistent, doesn't work well enough to actually be whatever.
Right. Yeah. So,
but that it's like, sure, okay, he can beam something occasionally, 40,000, but it's like whatever.
At the end of the episode, he even says like, I was able to extend your transporters a few hundred kilometers, though. But it just seems. I just couldn't tell if they were supposed to be implying that they were using the subquantum transporter in that experiment.
It sounded like it, but you're right.
They should have been able to detect that it wasn't that.
An alternative could be that they falsified the data from the little satellite doohickey.
Sounds like it.
But it just, I mean, I know
I can buy all of it. It's all underexplained, so it doesn't really matter.
I mean, I know that there was the whole thing about him wanting to do the thing himself, and Trip Tucker was getting off. Even though this guy is his idol, he still didn't want that guy touching his engineering shit. He wanted to put that
he was shady in the first place, man.
Trip has the best, I think, most consistent characterization in this episode between he and Archer and well, basically he and Archer. T'Pol's characterization is pretty good.
So, because that's when Trip goes,
and I said no thanks.
That part, because Emery wanted to put it in himself, and then Trip was like politely like, it's okay, I'll do it. And then he gave that he was giving that angry polite smile. He was when he goes like,
and I said no thanks. And I said no thanks. And I said no thanks. And I said no thanks.
And so by the way, he had some curvy smiles, if you notice. There was 2 times in the episode where when he smiled, he had that devil's curvy smile.
Talking about Trip Tucker III?
Trip Tucker III. He had a curvy smile.
Charles Trip Tucker III.
So I guess when Emery wanted to put it in himself, I was guessing it was so he could later falsify the data and say like, yeah, we're using subquantum transportation.
Daedalus.
It's a fake.
What about Daedalus?
You said data.
Oh,
Daedalus.
okay.
That's how you say it.
I don't know. Just trying something.
He's just trying to derail me. That's all.
Not trying to derail.
But okay, so
side effect.
Actually, derail it.
So Emery wanted to put that shit in himself. So I guess it made it more easy for him to falsify data later on in the episode when they were transporting that thing 40,000 kilometers. But at the same time, I find it hard to believe that with the whole crew and Trip Tucker watching it going on, that they wouldn't have detected that something was awry, you know?
Yeah, and also since it's not explained,
so
if that's the case, you have to make a lot of leaps to conclude that that was the reason he was able to falsify the data.
Yeah, so I wasn't clear if they were testing if in the episode they were just supposed to be testing normal transporter technology and he just did it really far, or if that was supposed to be an example of subquantum transporter. I just didn't know what was going on there.
Guess you didn't know.
I guess I didn't know. No. But yeah, so that was this is all coming back to him lying about this whole my mini list.
Which list item was that?
That was the main lie, which was
that was number one.
Number one.
How about this? We got to take a break. Can we do the final three when we get back from the break? And I think that'll feed nicely into a discussion of some of the structural issues with this episode. How about that?
Sure.
All right. So here's what we're gonna do, folks. Here's what we're gonna do.
We're gonna take a break.
We're gonna take a break, and then when we get back, we're going to talk about
Pick it back. How about the stomach? How about the stomach in the back? So beast with two backs. Shakespeare. I like Shakespeare. Do you like Shakespeare? Books.
Okay. We'll be right back.
Maybe I'll see you around.
Get away from me.
And we're back.
Now we're back.
Go ahead.
Oh, that was a short one. That's cute. I like that.
Yeah.
Extremely.
Can you play it again, just so we can hear it again?
Go ahead.
All right. Archer's. Look, Scott Bakula. I like
Nothing
Scott
seems to be
Bakula.
missing.
It's the characterization of Archer in this episode is somewhat bizarre. It's not like totally out of character. It was just like a little weird.
And it's a little weird and pointless.
Yeah, and he's unnecessarily putting the crew at risk. And Trip Tucker III is the most pissed he's ever been.
Oh yeah. And it's all in favor of a dumb story, of an uninteresting story, because we saw this all the time on
You are
Voyager.
this close to insubordination.
Voyager was guilty a lot of adjusting people's characters to meet the plot that they're trying to tell in the episode.
It's like a meat plot. It's like a meat cute,
However,
but it's a meat plot.
Exactly, Dan's 100%
It's a plot.
correct.
It's a plot of beef.
Exactly.
It's a meat plot.
It's a plot. Dan is 100% correct. And in fact,
a bunch of bullshit.
He's got some what appears at a glance to be graph paper, but is actually ground beef that he's etched in a graph paper format.
Whoa.
Graph paper.
It's a meat plot.
Oh, I get it.
Where were we at, Archer?
You're talking about
He's
Archer.
a coordinating carnivore.
You're talking about Voyager. Meat cuting their characters.
Like Voyager,
Meat pubes.
especially with Janeway, often would just have somebody do something that's out of character in order to serve the plot that they're trying to tell. However, often that plot was super interesting. That's not the case here.
Yeah, I was interested about the like, first of all, I thought it was interesting that Emery was talking about like how he said Henry Archer, he was like he thought the future was in warp drive. I thought it was in the transporter, which is kind of interesting because that reminded me of that Lower Decks episode where there was that dimension where like our dimension had the warp travel, but then there was that other dimension that they didn't have warp travel, they had interdimensional travel. Right. And so it's like a different way of looking concept of, so that was kind of neat. I wanted to go more into the idea of not making Starfleet extinct, this idea. First of all, he was like really gung-ho about his lie, back to the lie thing. He's so gung-ho, he's like, yeah, we're gonna make Starfleet obsolete. Like he's really going like overboard with that shit. But I was thinking like, okay, first of all, is this new lore? They said Vulcan is over 16 light years away. Have we always known that? That's what they said.
I can't recall. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if it was mentioned earlier, perhaps even on TRS.
But I was wondering, would Starfleet be obsolete if you could have this kind of warp travel? Because you'd still want to explore space, or would you just send robots into space? Like, because going from planet to planet, that's one thing. But what about just exploring places you've never seen before? Would you just send probes? Like, Like,
No,
would you really?
you're just beam people onto icy unknown planets,
Or like in the middle of space somewhere. Like, how would you still explore space of the unknown areas without starships?
It's
You
a
know
bit
what,
of
Dan?
a crackpot idea.
I can imagine various scenarios
I
that
can
might
imagine-
apply, but they did not.
They
Expand
didn't
on
talk.
that.
I know.
No,
I wish they did.
not
'Cause
at all.
the best I could think of is that they would use math and then calculate shit and send out probes.
Yeah.
They would send probes and warp them out.
You
at
know
like,
they'd use math.
They'd use probes. They'd send them out. The probes would take all the data.
You know it.
Or they'd take the data around them. Then they'd send another probe at the next spot, and that would take. And they'd slowly map it out. I just still feel
gotta
like
map it out,
it's
baby.
just hard for me to imagine how Starfleet. They would not need a shuttle at all with this technology. But like,
Yeah, I know, right?
But I mean, once again, this is one of the things that I wish they talked about more in the episode. Okay, so
List number 2. List item number 2.
list item.
Sounds like list number 7.
It's just more of expounding on certain certain parts.
Keep it coming.
Keep it coming. Keep it coming, my man. Keep it coming on my. Oh, never mind.
Dude.
Dan's like, I'm going into one of those blue fugues.
Yeah, I told myself
It's
I
a
was.
blue, a blue fugue.
I told myself I wasn't going to default to gross humor as much anymore.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you keep doing it.
I know.
I like how you have this mantra. This is multiple episodes in a row. You're like, you know what? I gotta cut it out with all the pooping jokes and the coming jokes.
So, unreliable Emery. This is not necessarily a lying Emery. It's an unreliable Emery. When Danica's pissed about this whole thing going down, she goes, I wonder what he would have to say about this, referencing Quinn. She's like, what would Quinn have to say about this and what we're doing? And the Emery says, when we're done, you can ask him. It's like he's either in denial or he's just lying more, you know? Like, does he really truly believe? Does he have
I
that?
think at this stage he thinks there's still an opportunity.
He's so obsessed with like getting his son back. He just uses his daughter to like push him around and like help him with his sneaky shit.
Oh, they are.
and to inject his his creepy gross back.
They never.
What was up with that creepy?
They never
gross back?
explained like
Is he,
what.
like an insect?
They imply it's a transporter.
I was wondering if it was a transporter accident that caused his back.
It's the
But they
implication.
didn't really say much about that.
But he says, "I'm living proof
Yeah.
of the sacrifice people made."
I
so.
guess. But okay. Look, I think he believed there was an opportunity, but he said it with 100% confidence. He's like, when we're done, you can ask him. Like, he said it as if it will happen. So I'm not saying he's lying, but he's like not reliable. You can't
He's
believe
the scientist guy.
He's lying to himself that he has that much confidence that it's going. He's saying it as if it's a done deal. And this leads to the next one, which is when he keeps insisting that they almost have him. He's like, just a few more hours, we'll have him. Just a few more hours. And T'Pol actually points out like that he's been like misleading them before. When he keeps telling Archer, he's like, no, we almost got it. And you know he's probably telling Archer that because he knows that like if he's not conveying 100% confidence that he will find Quinn within the next few hours, Archer might call the whole thing off. So when he's like, yeah, it's just a few hours, like chances are, as T'Pol pointed out, he's just making that up, you know?
Or he's deluding himself.
And that's why I say the point before about him saying, when we're done, you can ask him, like, and kind of leads into that one where it's like, whether he's deluding himself, whether he's straight up lying to other people, you can't believe what he says, is basically the point I'm making. And then,
Number 4.
He's
and
full
then
of baloney.
The number 4, Archer goes, a member of my crew is dead. He goes like, I didn't know that the manifestations would be dangerous. Believe me. And Archer straight up goes, you want me to believe you? Like, you know, like he... And he says it as if it's like he's so casual about it. He's like, I didn't know that would happen. It's almost like he doesn't give a shit that crew member died.
And this is
unless he's come to terms with what he has to do in order to get his son back, that he's already gone through that guilt and he's past that guilt. Like this whole time he's so casual about the whole thing. Like when they're talking about like what happened, he's like, oh yeah, man, when I was doing transporter stuff, we ran into all kinds of problems. How can I help? You know, when the whole time he knew that guy got fucked up because of his shit, while everyone's trying to figure out why their crew member got face squished, like, or face melted, or whatever you want to call it.
Melted.
That whole time, he knew what the reason was for it, and he was acting like, oh yeah, sometimes things are rough.
He's like, I don't have an answer.
He's almost like saying, like, Captain, I made mistakes too.
None
Like,
of that. I don't have a problem with any of that.
I have a problem with him implying that Captain Archer made a mistake when it was Emery's fault.
Look, I'm not saying that. I'm saying I don't have a problem with the character being an asshole. Because
I never said I had a problem with the
I didn't say you did. I'm making you made a very lengthy point.
My point wasn't that lengthy, but you said it as if like I said something wrong.
I'm just trying to add something to into the conversation.
Okay, well, I thought you were trying to tell me that I said something wrong.
I certainly did not. I was just waiting my turn
you said as if I had a problem with
make
it.
a point. I have in my notes.
You got a problem.
You said you said I don't have a problem with, as if I said I did have a problem with that.
However, it was interpreted. It was not intended in that way. I'm just trying to say that I've got no problem with the idea of a scientist being an arrogant piece of shit asshole and making poor decisions. Right. This is a new character, right? And it's a trope. It's that's a specific type of character we've seen a million times. But again, as I've repeatedly stated, the problem is that the shortcut of the trope. That's why you use tropes. That's the proper way to use tropes, is that you want to have an opportunity to get to all this other interesting stuff that you can tell. And they don't do any of that. They just rely on the trope, this guy's an asshole. But then what happens is because they're not telling an interesting story, it results in other weird behavior, like why does Archer keep going along with this guy and being sympathetic? It's like everyone else is like, what's wrong with you, Archer? And I'm sure a lot of the audience is like, yeah, well, Archer's the good guy, so he must have a... No.
They should have mutinied.
It does come off as weird.
Sure,
it's like
Trip Tucker almost mutinied.
Yeah, he tripped and
They should have done it.
Like I said,
almost justifiably
that
so,
was
putting the stripper in danger.
I said this already, but like that's the most angry Trip has ever been at Archer, I think.
Where would I stay?
Where would you stay?
So that was the fourth list item?
Yeah, that was the fourth list item.
Because what I wanted to mention was that I've mentioned some structural disjointedness in this story. Yes. But I think the bigger problem is this is one of those stories, and we see it sometimes in any kind of storytelling, but it comes up occasionally on Star Trek. Discovery was guilty of this, I think, a number of times, maybe Picard, where you tell the story backwards. In other words, you think you're telling some mystery, some twist or whatever, but the problem is all the emotional points, you don't care about them until you kind of get to the end of the story. And then you have to retroactively be like, oh, all these things I saw, all these exchanges now have different meaning because now I know that it's this guy's son, or now I know that this guy's son is going to die in the end. And what are the implications of that? So like, you're watching the episode and there's the mystery, but it's not a very compelling mystery. But at the same time, you're like, okay, well, what am I supposed to feel at this moment? I'm not 100% sure. Am I supposed to be mad at this guy for being an arrogant piece of shit? Am I supposed to be mad at him for fucking around with Trip's stuff? Am I supposed to be mad at him because he's lying to the crew because he's trying to save his son? Like, I'm not 100% sure what I'm supposed to feel at any moment. And then when you watch to the end of the episode, you can kind of watch the episode again and be like, okay, I guess I'm supposed to feel this at this moment, but I don't know to feel that because I don't have the information until later in the episode to know I'm supposed to feel this way.
And I feel like and I've kind of said this already a bit, but like to your point of how we're supposed to feel, like they kind of, sometimes they bring up the crew member like it's a big deal, but then other times like he shows like no remorse for this crew member, and it almost seems by the end like he's like, well, maybe I'll get a teaching gig or something, and Archer's like, yeah, well,
bye, see you later.
Yeah, see you later.
You're
it's
not
like,
being arrested for any crimes.
Yeah, it's like, what about this fucking dude that like got his face melted from like this whole situation? Like, it's like sometimes that point matters in the episode when it's convenient, but then other times it's like it never happened or something.
Very confusing.
There were two
totally bizarre.
There were two similarities I actually saw between Emery Erickson and Nick Locarno.
Oh no!
Which was he played dumb when someone died. Basically, he acted like,
good call. Nick, and specifically because this is an evergreen podcast. And people hop around.
Evergreen, hop around.
A few weeks back, we discussed the TNG episode, The First Duty. And so Dan is referencing the character of Nick Locarno.
Yeah, and then there was a part where he told Danny, he goes, you're condemning him to death, basically, because she didn't want to go along with his plan. He tried to throw guilt onto her by saying, you're condemning him to death.
By the way, another underexplored aspect of the episode, the hints at this bitterness in this relationship of the daughter overshadowed by her not dead, half dead brother.
15.
And her simultaneous obligations that she feels to help take care of her father, while increasing her bitterness and hatred of her father in the process, but also feeling sympathy because she knows how much her brother meant to him, but then feeling
she's just like
pissed off
chopped liver
because she's alive and there and equally brilliant. and her father doesn't pay attention. All of that is hinted at.
They never said anything like this would happen.
But we don't get to see it. Oh, and by the way, Dan, do you think does the fact that her name is Danica engender in you some sort of simpatico-ness? Do you have some sort of special feelings towards this character as a result of, as a function of her name having your name within it?
Well, the question is would I feel closer to someone named Danica or Danielle? I would think Danica because it sounds more like Dan.
Danica sounds more like Dan. I agree.
And then also because when I was young and my mother was looking for me, she'd yell, "Danielle, Danielle," and I would tell her to stop doing that.
Yeah,
Did she do that just to fuck with you?
I think so, but she's just said she's like, I like how it sounds. I think she wanted a girl. That's what I think.
Yeah.
But anyway,
well,
too bad.
Yeah, tough luck.
Yeah.
I didn't know this would happen.
You ain't no girl.
So part one was he played dumb when something died, and number two when he said you're condemning him to death. That's what Emery said to Danica, kind of like how Nick Locarno, aka Tom Paris, said was laying the guilt trip on Wesley because Wesley didn't want to go along with the plan, and he was trying to guilt him about the same thing. He's like, you're gonna get all your crew members in trouble. So that's how Emery Erickson and Nick Locarno suffered from the same sort of like plot-related illness.
And that's not a list because there's only 2 items.
Right.
And one of the items is arguably a bit of a stretch.
Which one? Wait a second. Which one? You can't introduce... That's a smart-ass thing to do, to introduce your disagreement in that respect. Tell me, which is the stretch?
The second one.
That's not a stretch.
I said a bit of a stretch.
How is that a stretch?
It's not 100%.
No, it's true.
an analogy.
Because Emery says you're condemning him to death. Meaning she doesn't want to go along with what he says. So in order to get her to do what he says, he's guilting her and saying, if you don't do what I say, he's going to get fucked up and it's your fault.
Yes.
Just like Nick Locarno said to Wes, you got to do what I say. If you don't, everyone else is going to be guilty and it's your fault because you didn't do what I say.
Yeah. I say it's a little bit different because there's not death involved.
Doesn't matter if it's it doesn't matter if it's death.
It's more of an administrative inconvenience.
No. Those are superficial specificities. Like it doesn't the fundamental.
By the way, I'm digging the phrase superficial specificity.
Superficial specificity.
That's a pretty fucking awesome phrase, and you said it so carelessly, and I mean that in the good way, carelessly.
Yeah.
You know?
Look,
Without a care.
I'm just saying. Yes, of course, death is more serious than some getting kicked out of school. But I'm saying the attitude is there. If Nick Locarno is capable of doing this, what say that he not be capable of such things as Emery Erickson? And remember that Nick Locarno, someone died on his watch, so he's capable of doing the same shit. Whether it's death or whether it's tricking somebody into eating a ball of poop mud, it's all about
Who did that?
It's all about tactics to get people to do what you say.
All right.
You know, these characters.
Who did the poop
And
mud?
both of them were characters that were looked up to and idolized, and they both ended up using that power and leveraging that power to get people to do things that they didn't normally want to do in order to cover their own ass.
You make a compelling argument.
Look,
You're a
man.
character that I idolize.
Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate that. Patrick, you don't have to agree with me just to appease me. You know that pisses me off even more.
I didn't say I agree with you. I said you made a compelling argument.
Well, now you're just trying to like compliment me to piss me off even more.
Not complimenting you.
You are fucking doing it. Stop doing
Stating
it.
a fact?
Stop doing it.
Compelling argument.
Emery goes, I can reverse the damage by cross-phasing the stream, and Trip Tucker goes,
Don't cross the streams.
Trip Tucker goes, the transporter can't do that, and he goes, I built the damn thing. We never found out if he could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that old guy's full of shit.
Well, in that moment, he presumably thought he could.
I built the damn thing.
But yeah,
Perpetrated a fraud.
I do really respect that they didn't go for the happy ending. I think that's a cool way to end things. That was all fucked up and sad. That he wasn't rewarded for his
But he
daring
didn't go to
do.
jail.
But I agree, he didn't go to jail. I was going to say that he didn't get.
I had no choice.
There wasn't even like an inquiry.
No inquiry.
Courts martial.
He was rewarded with probably a professorship, as long that's what he assumed anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also weird. Like, why wouldn't he already be a professor?
Right.
Like, that's sort of what you do if you're at that level.
Right.
what you do.
He's not going to join Starfleet.
That's
so.
what you do.
That's what you do.
there was two interesting zoom
I
cam.
was going to talk about look.
You
weird,
can talk about it.
weird late episode zooms.
I can tell you exactly what lines they happen on.
Please do.
So, at the last scene when they're trying to get Quinn, Phlox goes, he's losing cohesion. If he materializes, he'll die in seconds. And then right here, it zooms on this line. I can reverse the damage by cross-phasing the stream. That zooms in all weird when he says that. And then Tucker goes like, transporter can't do it. I built the damn thing.
It was like the beginnings of like sort of like reality style camera, and like they did that's
like the shaky hand cam.
Yeah, like sort of shaky, like.
And then
up.
a few bits later, Phlox goes, "There's nothing you can do for him," and then zooms in right when he says, "I can't let him go. I can't." You know, it's I can't do it. I can't do it. It's this line.
I can't let him go. I can't.
It zooms in right there.
I think.
And then when it zooms,
I have a hypothesis.
And then and right after, there's one point where it says "I'm sorry, Quinn," and it zoomed in on his face. It almost looked like a wide angle shot. It was that shot where the face looked wider and stretched out and globular in the middle.
Globular.
It was like kind of the shot before that shark ate Sam Jackson in that movie.
I have a hypothesis. My hypothesis is during the production of this episode, all the actors are on set, and the directors and the cinematographers and the second units.
Did you say cinematographer?
Cinematographers.
Zabadadaps.
All of them, the key grips, all of them, they're all standing around. They're all doing the
gaffer's assistant.
Yeah, putting together this show. The continuity person, the continuity person.
Continuity.
Banana flaps.
They're all standing around, and they're on day 3 or day 4 of filming, and somebody is like,
this took more than one day to film.
There's like a lull. There's like a brief lull, and everyone's just sort of standing around. Then somebody, I don't know who, somebody looks around and is like, are we making a really boring episode?
Let's make it more exciting.
Do we need to add some ridiculous zooms? Let's do some crazy zooms. Let's just do some fucked up crazy zooms. I really get the impression that they were like, we got to do something.
Yeah, let's change it up. That was like a reshoot.
Let's do it again with some crazy zooms. Of people standing around talking exposition with cliched plots about nothing in particular.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Then there was an awkward. They did the whole close the eyes, the dead person's eyes with it.
Very awkward.
Because it's like whenever they do that in a movie, they just brush their hand over their face, and suddenly the eyes are closed.
It happens automatically.
And it was like very exaggerated in this version. I don't know. It was very awkward. But I'm relieved that they got Quinn out, even though he died, because he would have had to been stuck in that shitscape like forever.
I think they shouldn't have even fucked with that guy.
Yeah.
Well, they should have gotten him out because, no, you don't want to be stuck in that bullshit limbo forever. Really,
sometimes that's how it works, man.
But you don't want that. That
means
means
they got him out. I'm with you, Dan.
Because if they hadn't, that would mean to this day Quinn would still be in there, and we'd still have to think about him.
And we don't know if he was conscious or not in that mode. But we can presume he was conscious to some degree in those brief moments that seem to be pretty regular. That he was half materialized into the regular old universe, but otherwise presumably in the middle of space or something. I don't know. I don't know.
What was that area called?
The F deck?
The Barons?
The Barons. That's right. Another new thing that we learned about. It's okay to introduce new things in an episode for the plot, but when you're introducing too many new things, I think it starts the suspension of disbelief starts piling up.
Yeah.
So the anomaly, it first appeared on F deck, which is near the armory. Then
F deck.
Later it was on C deck.
You want to meet me on the F deck?
Later, what do you think they do on the F deck?
What do they do on the C deck?
Well, later it was on the C deck, which is section 5, and then finally it was at B deck, section 8 of the B deck.
All over your B.
So the scene where the lights go out for the first time, and the crew member who I think that's the one whose face got melted who first spotted it. Yeah. I rewinded that, or
you rewinded that.
I rewound it.
Rewound,
and it's even funny to say that because it's not really rewinding it.
Rewounded it.
I went back.
You went bloop bloop bloop.
I blooped back a few times because I thought there was something I missed. Because, like, right when the light flashes, the guy's like, "It's over there," like as if they'd seen it already.
That was one of the disjointed edits where it
seemed like
it's dropping us into a story that has not we aren't familiar with yet.
Yeah,
it was like, oh, now there's a fucking ghost.
Yeah, it felt like there was like that they knew something was there 10 seconds before the scene started.
Right.
Because he was just like, oh, it's over there, as if we were supposed to know.
Maybe they couldn't use the footage because Lieutenant Reed farted.
Farted.
And that's what happens on F deck. Is there's lots of farting.
That's
farting.
What the F
farting on F deck. I thought it was interesting. I think one of the lessons from this episode that is like, if you want to do shady stuff, it's useful to like develop a reputation for being like sort of an asshole, because then people will just assume you're being an asshole and not like doing something criminal. So maybe we should be assholes.
Yeah, maybe.
We can get into all sorts of criminal shit.
Criminal shit.
Yeah.
We have to make some scientific breakthroughs.
Oh, I was thinking of like, we could start a new podcast called It's Got Criminals.
I will say I will say, so like I was saying
We
that
could just be criminals.
Trip Tucker III was as angry as I've ever seen him at Archer, which was interesting. T'Pol looked like kind of the saddest I've ever seen her. Jolene Blaylock did a good job of being able to express sadness in a stoic Vulcan.
No,
but she remained believable as a Vulcan.
She's great for precisely that reason. Throughout the whole series,
She's the quintessential Vulcan.
Is the way she's able to emote while retaining the Vulcan.
Didn't her mom say that she was like an emotional, like she was too emotional?
Yeah, a little bit like T'Lyn.
Like T'Lyn, like
T'Lyn on Lower Decks.
Yeah, right. She got in trouble for that.
So how about this? We only have so much time left here, and people still need to hear my opinion of this episode.
All right.
I'm just going to read through. I have 3 final notes. I've clicked everything else away. The 3 final notes are: the music is weird this episode. Not bad, just weird. That's note number 1. Note number 2: Trip and Archer ain't no dummies.
Nope.
Note number 2. And the note number 3, final note from all my notes, just says T'Pol Grosshand.
Grosshand.
Yeah,
Oh
T'Pol
yeah, well,
Grosshand.
her hand got melty.
Because she had gross hand. She suffered from gross hand. Don't you remember?
The dude flew through her hand.
Yeah. So and she was all like, but I got visual, whatchamacallit. Don't you remember?
I must have missed gross hand. I was too
didn't see T'Pol
distracted
gross
by
hand?
I was too distracted by gross face.
Yeah. Oh, gross hand was about as bad as gross face, but just limited
Just
and
limited,
constrained to the hand.
I don't.
You got to go back and look at it. It's pretty gross.
Why are Archer and Trip Tucker no dummies? I mean, they usually aren't, but like, why?
But they are this time.
Oh, I wrote that down when Trip Tucker was going to when he was going to Archer and was like, I found out some shit. You told me to look for some shit, and I found the shit. And then Archer was like,
I enjoyed it.
Archer's all like, I knew that there was a problem because he lied about that thing.
Yeah, that's a good Archer.
And it sounds exactly like Archer.
Interesting.
Sounds more like the other guy.
So I was just saying that I think Trip should have been suspicious earlier, right? He should have been suspicious when the guy was like, no, I'm going to fuck around with your ship without letting you watch me.
Yeah.
He was being super shady at that moment.
You got a mean streak in you know that?
Trip got annoyed, but he didn't get suspicious yet. But Archer got suspicious in a more straightforward fashion.
When Archer goes to Trip, you want a mirror? And Trip says,
You got a mean streak in you know that?
there's another officer standing next to Trip Tucker in that scene, and it looks like he's trying to hold back laughter. I don't know if he is, but he keeps making weird mouth faces.
Do you think it's because this is like the 40th take?
Yeah.
And they keep fucking up somehow?
You got a mean streak in you know
He
that?
said that for the 50th time, right? I don't know.
He
I
kept
couldn't
saying,
tell.
like mean strike.
I couldn't tell if he was trying to bust up or if the officer was supposed to be expressing something. I don't know. It weirded me out. They rode in on the Sarajevo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sarajevo.
That's a weird looking ship.
Yeah.
Perfectly
is.
reasonable name. Slightly weird looking ship.
Do you think Archer and Danica ever got into a midnight tryst?
Why would is that just a metaphorical thing, or does it actually have to happen at midnight?
How do you know
How do you know when midnight is?
Is it a variation on? Is it like
it's like an afternoon delight.
Is it like
it's a midnight
What's
tryst?
afternoon in space?
Yeah, that Jesse's right. And is this like a Gremlins thing?
I think
where
you
you
know.
can only tryst
oh my
after
god,
midnight?
you know exactly what I'm saying. You're just trying to be difficult.
Archer turns
Is
into a
this
gremlin.
what happens on
Do
the
you
sea
think
deck?
they ever fucked? Do you think they ever fucked?
She kissed him on the mouth.
Oh,
Dude.
that's what you're asking.
Yes, you knew that's what I was
I
asking.
was just making sure.
You guys knew. Jesse
She
knew.
chased him around.
We're
he
all
chased her
adults
around
here.
with a laser pistol.
This podcast is labeled E for explicit, which means you don't necessarily have to beat around the bush.
Do you think they got into an afternoon delight together?
Yeah, but at midnight, yeah, probably.
A midnight tryst?
Midnight afternoon
after
delight.
midnight delights.
Yeah. Maybe. It was underexplored because it was like we're never going to see this person again, and it was extra funny at the end when Danica's like, "Well, maybe we'll see each other again." Nope,
No.
don't worry about it.
you never will.
Show's canceled. It was like
Canceled.
mostly really good. All
It's
right,
John.
we got to close things down,
Wait.
but I wanted to provide my opinion.
Okay.
So-
I wanted to say that if Emery Erickson was a Street Fighter character, his special move would be
Confinement bean. Confinement bean. Confinement bean.
'Cause he loves the
Confinement bean.
that's what he'd shoot on the other
That's
characters.
good.
Confinement
The other guy would
bean.
be like, Hadouken!
Confinement bean. Confinement bean.
Very good.
Be
All
a
right,
Street
so
Fighter character.
very, very briefly,
Yeah.
my opinion. I know people have been waiting the whole episode.
Yeah. I think people know what you're up to at this point.
Yeah,
Patrick.
it's fine.
Oh, God.
The episode's fine. It's boring.
I'm fine.
Boring.
It's boring.
That's a good one.
It's disjointed. It's very expositional. It's trying to tell a story that's not very interesting. There's not a lot of world building.
Sort of comes from out of nowhere.
But it's well acted. It's fine.
I wasn't like a big fan of this episode, and I wasn't a big fan of Equilibrium, but I think I liked Equilibrium a little better.
Equilibrium had actual lore.
It had wine.
It told a story.
got the wine voice.
It was a bit of a slight story.
There wasn't a whime in this
I
episode
didn't
at
know
all.
this would happen. I didn't know this would happen. I didn't know this would happen. I didn't know this would happen.
This episode it wasn't visually interesting, even with the zooms.
No.
With the zooms.
Again, it's trying to tell this mystery. There's not that much of a mystery.
Those are really forced zooms.
Yeah, I don't know.
Enhance.
This is just, I was not super excited when Dan's algorithm popped this up, but I enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah.
Even though there was a few freakouts along
Well, he
the
called
way.
it data list, and I was all confused. What is that?
I didn't say data list.
Enhance.
All right. So
Enhance 224 to 1.
that was
Enhance.
that was
Enhance.
Jalapeno.
That was Daedalus,
Enhance.
Daedalus, however you like
Enhance.
to pronounce it.
Center and
That's
pull back.
concluded.
Enhance.
Next week we will be we'll be going back to Voyager.
Move in.
Another Voyager episode.
Pull back.
Dan's algorithm provided us with the suggestion that we discuss Remember.
Is there anything else?
I believe it's a Belana Torres focused episode. Ironically, perhaps somewhat ironically, I don't really remember. I've watched all of Voyager multiple times. I'm sure I'll remember it when I watch Remember, but
Move in.
right now,
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Enhance 15 to 23.
Do
So,
you remember?
Looking forward to
Enhance.
checking that out. You all can hear us discuss it
Center and pull back.
next week.
A voyage into remember.
In the meantime, you
the meantime.
can go to our website at www.itsgotstartrek.com.
An honor working with you.
You can go to our Patreon with all sorts of crazy goodness at
Where would I stay?
Move in.
patreon.com/itsgotstartrek.
Enhance.
Enhance.
And
Enhance.
on the social medias, we're at It's Got Star Trek. Very easy for you to find us there.
A little more.
Check us
Center
out.
and pull back.
YouTube, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, I don't know.
Hologram?
All that stuff. It's good. So with that, we wish you all the best.
Holograms.
We hope you watch something more entertaining.
Say goodbye to
Remember.
Porthos.
We're gonna watch Remember, because that's probably more entertaining than whatever we just watched.
Remember.
So, watch Remember, and then come remember to listen
Say
to the
goodbye to
podcast
Porthos.
next week. All right. Goodbye, Porthos.
The discussion is over.
Hey there. You must be Porthos. Heard a lot about you. He's got a lot of personality.
And an appetite to match.